Vlad Jr., who drives one out to left center, and this one is gone. And that was a big boy home run to tie the game.
From MLB.com, this is the Morning Lineup Podcast. I'm your host, Will Leach. Today is Monday, July 21st. I heard you missed us. We're back. Baseball returned from the All-Star break this weekend, and they played a whole bunch of games. 45, to be exact. They played 15 on Sunday, though, and it's my job to tell you about all 15 of those in under 10 minutes. Let me do the math here and carry the one. I think that gives me exactly 2.5 hours to talk about each game. I think that's plenty of time.
Vladdy drives it out to left center field and deep. Lee going back, looking up at the wall. It's gone.
There are so many reasons to visit Canada. You can eat poutine, you can drink milk from a bag, you can see where a strange brew was filmed, You can become best friends with a Mountie. Here's another excellent reason. You're apparently assured of watching the Blue Jays win. Vladimir Guerrero, George Springer, and Addison Barger all homered, and the Jays came back for the AL leading 29th time as they beat the Giants 8-6 on Sunday. It was the Jays' 10th straight home victory, matching a franchise record they set way back in 1985 when they played in Exhibition Stadium. The Jays remain 3 games ahead of the Yankees in first place in the AL East, and you know why I said the word remain in that sentence? Well, here's a hint.
High drive, right center field. There it goes. See ya. A home run for Judge. His 36th of the year. It's 1-0 Yanks.
That was Aaron Judge. You've heard of him. Hitting his 36th homer of the season in the first inning in the Yankees' 4-2 win over the Braves in Atlanta. Homer was actually the 351st of Judge's career, which tied him for 6th all-time in Yankees history with Alex Rodriguez. Fun fact, A-Rod's last game as a Yankee, his last game ever actually, was August 12th, 2016. Judge made his MLB debut and hit his first homer the very next day. Judge's next homer will pass A-Rod, and if you're scoring at home, or even if you're alone, he's 7 away from Yogi Berra, 10 away from Joe DiMaggio, and 142 away from Lou Gehrig. Perhaps more urgent to the current moment, the Yankees kept pace with the Blue Jays, the team they're traveling to Canada to play 3 games with starting Monday. If they sweep the series, like the Blue Jays did in Toronto at the beginning of this month, they'll be back in first place. But the Blue Jays and the fans and the poutine and the Mounties, well, they're all going to have something to say about that. After the break, the NL Central's getting pretty crazy. Everyone keeps winning. Well, the Cubs and Brewers anyway. Though not Sunday. The Cubs came into Sunday with a 4-game win streak. That, thanks to a Tigers loss on Saturday, gave them the best record in baseball. So that's great. Except the problem is that, well, even with that accomplishment, they still can't get in the elbow room in their own division, thanks to the Brewers coming in with a 9-game win streak. And, unfortunately for the Cubs, they had to face Garrett Crochet and the Red Sox, who had won 7 of his last 8 starts coming in. Well, let's make that 8 of his last 9.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Crochet blows 96 past Justin Turner and gets through 6 innings again.
Crochet was brilliant again, giving up just 1 run in 6 innings, lowering his ERA to 2.19 on the year, and Willie Abreu homered twice as the Sox beat the Cubs 6-1, which leads us again to that whole problem of the Brewers, who were trying to finish off a sweep of the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Shohei Ohtani, batting second behind Mookie Betts for the first time this season, hit his 34th homer in the 3rd inning, giving the Dodgers a 3-0 lead. But the Brewers, well, they sloughed that off like dirt on their shoulder, fighting all the way back to take a 6-4 lead into the bottom of the 9th. Dodgers didn't exactly roll over, though, loading the bases, down 1 run with 2 outs, and Betts at the plate. Big moment.
To center, Perkins is there. Ball game over. 10 straight for the Brewers as they have swept the Dodgers in LA.
Well, nevertheless, Brewers 6-5 win, 10 in a row. The Dodgers have lost 10 of the last 12, and the Brewers, well, they're tied for first in the NL Central. It turns out my math was wrong, and I do not, in fact, have 2.5 hours for each game. Actually, only have a few seconds. Dang it! We better get right into the whip around right now.
And Torrens hits it sharply, but right to McLean, coming home. Soto saved! Soto with a terrific secondary lead, got a great break down the line and beat McLean's throw, and the Mets lead it 3-2.
That was Juan Soto breaking a tie by scoring in the top of the 8th as the Mets ended the Reds' 4-game win streak with a 3-2 victory. Here's something not going so great for the Mets right now, though. Francisco Lindor is 0 for his last 21. The Mariners came into Sunday on a 5-game winning streak, and within 3 games of the Astros, the closest they've been to first place since June 11th. But those Astros got themselves some breathing room Sunday with an 11-3 win. And you know it's not going to get any easier for the Mariners after that. They now got to play those Brewers, the aforementioned hottest team in baseball. Gavin Williams, no, not that one, the one that starts for Cleveland, struck out 11 as the Guardians beat the A's 8-2, winning their series. Hey, let's do a little AL Central roundup while we're here. The Royals salvaged the 3rd game of their series against the Marlins with a 7-4 win, ending the Fish's 4-game win streak. The Twins avoided being the first team the Rockies would have swept since May 2024 with a 7-1 win. And, alert! Alert! The White Sox just swept a series. They smoked the Pirates 7-2 on Sunday, winning all 3 games in Pittsburgh by a combined score of 27-7. Ugh, that's just demoralizing. Kyle Schwarber finally didn't homer. He had actually homered in every game since winning that All-Star Game tiebreaker last week. But Lamont Wade Jr., who came in when Nolan Schanuel was hit with a pitch, well, he sure did, as the Angels won their series over the Phillies with an 8-2 victory. The Angels are back within 1 game of 500. You know, it's a pretty chill day when your team scores 5 runs in the first inning. It makes the next 8 innings feel like a nap on the beach. That's what the Padres did Sunday, thanks to a first-inning grand slam from Xander Bogaerts as they beat Mackenzie Gore and the Nationals 8-1. The Cardinals came into the weekend uncertain whether they would be buyers or sellers at the deadline. Well, this might help clarify their thinking.
There goes another one. We know it's Gino. And it's in the bullpen and bounces in his 2nd consecutive multi-home run game.
Eugenio Suarez, that's what that was. Him hitting his 34th and 35th homers, giving him the National League lead and helping Diamondbacks beat the Cardinals 5-3, finishing off a 3-game sweep in which the Redbirds were outscored 22-7. Cardinals have lost 11 of their last 15 and have the worst starting pitcher ERA in baseball for the month of July. So, sellers, I guess. Ryan O'Hearn, Jackson Holliday, and Alex Jackson all homered as the Orioles ended their 4-game losing streak with a 5-3 win over the Rays. And to close the whip around, the Tigers' 6-game losing streak, it'd be over. Derek Skubal struck out 11 6 2/3, but Tyler Holton vultured his win as the Tigers beat the Rangers 2-1. There aren't many people in this world that I am personally a bigger fan of than John Oliver. So I delighted in he and his show's christening of the Erie Moon Mammoths this weekend, the temporary, sadly, name of the Tigers' AA affiliate. Oliver threw out the first pitch and talked about the glory of minor league baseball.
I love minor league baseball, and it felt like a nice fit with our show because minor league baseball, as you know, is willing to try anything. That was proven by the fact that over half the league was willing to sight unseen rebrand and put their trust in the hands of a group of people who are objectively untrustworthy. That's a bad decision, and it's that kind of bad decision making that I love about minor league baseball.
That's all for today's Morning Lineup Podcast. Thank you for listening. Please be sure to give us a rating and review and tell everyone you know about this podcast. Anthony Castrovins, who was actually in Erie hanging out with John Oliver over the weekend, will be with you on Tuesday. I will return on Friday, sans any talk show host, sadly. See you then.